But sometimes that happens. Someone lost school they did on Memorial had a big uproar and they moved on location. But that was several years ago. At least, probably more than that. It ended up being around. Yeah, they call it. That's out on, how about saying, you call them and say, I'm calling the city.
Let's start.
No. Yeah, we'll call him Dennis. Okay, are we ready?
Takes one inside, right?
Everybody ready?
You guys ready?
Yes, sir.
I will go ahead and call the Tippecanoe County Area Plan Commission of Tippecanoe County, Tippecanoe County Area Plan Commission meeting to order for August 20th, 2025. And first on the agenda is the roll call.
Jackson Bogan, Tracy Brown,
Present.
Ben Carson, Jason Domkowski.
Here.
Jody Hamilton, Larry Leverins.
Here.
Chad Lohmeyer. Diana Looper.
Here.
Tom Murtaugh.
Present.
Kathy Parker.
Here.
Vicky Pearl. Rabita Rashganikar.
Present.
Jerry Reynolds. Todd Rosworski. Gary Schroeder.
Here.
Steve Schul. Here. Steve Snyder. Quorum present.
Very good, thank you. First is the briefing session.
Right. We have one continuance, and the last case is withdrawn. Everything else is good to go.
Okay, very good for Purdue. So that's Purdue Research Foundation. Anybody here for that case? Or the Strider LLC, which is on 28, lot 28. I'm not sure what street that's on, but that's been withdrawn. Yeah, I know. Thank you, Steve. Anyway, next is approval minutes.
I move to approve the minutes from the July 16th, 2025 public hearing as submitted.
I second it.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any comments or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. New business. We have nothing. We'll go into our public hearing announcements, and I have a statement to read. For those of you unfamiliar with our procedures, the Commission would like for you to know the following. When we hear a request to subdivide land, we're only concerned as to whether the actual drawings showing the division into lots meets the technical requirements of our ordinance. The question of appropriateness has already been determined. Anyone wishing to make comments or provide us with information regarding any subdivision petition will be given an opportunity to do so. When we're hearing a request to change in zoning, we're trying to determine if the new zone being requested and the uses allowed in that zone are appropriate to that property and supported by the comprehensive plan. With each case being heard, our staff will present its report. Then the person requesting the rezone will be given an opportunity to speak. Following that, those of you wishing to speak in favor of the rezone will be recognized. And then those who wish to oppose it will have a turn. This will be your only time to speak. The person requesting the action will be allowed a rebuttal. Plan Commission members will then ask questions and finally vote. Please limit your statements to no more than 5 minutes. We ask that you not repeat what others before you've already said. We are a 17-member body, and a majority of 17 is 9. Regardless of how many Commission members are actually present, at least 9 votes in favor or 9 votes against are required for the action to be official. If fewer than 9 of us agree to either approve or disapprove an action, that case must be heard again next month. Our vote on a request to subdivide is final. Our vote on a request to rezone serves as a recommendation to the appropriate City Council, Town Council, or County Commissioners, who must ultimately decide on changes in zoning. When addressing the Commission, please state your name and address for the record. Cell phones must be turned off while the meeting is in session. If you need to make a call, please step out of the room before doing so. All exhibits presented to the Commission become property of the Commission. Larry.
I move that there be incorporated into the public hearing portion of each application to be heard this evening and to become part of the evidence at such hearing, the Unified Zoning Ordinance, the Unified Subdivision Ordinance, the Comprehensive Plan, the bylaws of the Area Plan Commission, the application and all documents filed therewith, the staff report and recommendation on the applications to be heard this evening and responses from the checkpoint agencies.
I second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries. Larry, I'm ready for the continuance, please.
I move to continue Z 2983 Purdue Research Foundation I3 to OR to the October 15th Area Plan Commission public hearing.
I second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Subdivisions.
I move to hear and vote on S 5287 Everwood Subdivision, major preliminary.
We have a
I
second.
second.
Staff. Larry.
Thank you. Petitioner Arbor Homes is requesting preliminary approval for a 249-lot subdivision on 102 acres. This site was rezoned in April of this year. Along with that rezone came a commitment for an open space, 55-foot yard, open space buffer yard along County Road 500. And homes, 23 lots along that road to be R1 standard. Petitioner has designed a site plan working with county, the different departments. This is the final design that we have worked with them to do. As you can see, there's over 55 lots to meet the R1 standard, well over the required 23 lots. Additionally, they've improved their layout to accommodate the county's requests to provide better traffic pattern, connection to the south, and provide for an entrance when the 9-acre lot to the northeast is developed, however it's developed. Access will come off of this road right in this location. Other than meeting the conditions of the rezone, this is a fairly standard subdivision, and most of the commitments are standard with any other subdivision, and staff is recommending primary approval with the conditions.
Very good. Thank you, Larry. Petitioner or the representative?
Yes, hi. Lance McElroy with Arbor Homes, Silverthorn Homes. I think it was presented pretty well by Larry, and we'll just take any comments or questions.
Very good. We may have some for you. Questions or comments from the audience? Questions or comments from the commission? Hearing none, we have a white ballot. And was there bonding on that or not? There is bonding requested for that.
There is.
Yes, there is bonding.
Very good. Thank you.
All right, we have a unanimous ballot for approval.
Very good, thank you, Ryan. Larry, rezoning act.
I move to hear and vote on Z 2982, Area Plan Commission A to AA.
I second it.
New toy.
Ryan, I like it, thank you.
We saw Zach Beasley playing with one at Drainage Board, and we're like, we want one too. All right. Okay, well, this is the first installment of kind of follow through on the Wabash Tippecanoe Townships plan. The effort here is to try to bring into conformity land that is in the select agricultural future land use category. And this is land that is extremely productive on the agricultural side for row crop production. And the vast areas were called out for, in both townships, for this particular zone. The zone itself was established in the mid-'80s, along with the agricultural wood zone, to try to create essentially an extra set aside that, we have agricultural uses that are beyond simply crops and livestock, that there's also business uses and other things as well. And so we kind of wanted to, separate out specifically the crop production for the sake of the quality of the soils. And so that was primarily the reason for the AA zone. So what it ended up doing is limiting uses in the AA zone that really had nothing to do with growing crops. Therefore, buildings that would, necessarily take land out of crop production would, not be welcome. So a lot of the business uses, because there are many business uses permitted in the A zone, so a lot of those were left out. So the so we've ended up paring this down. Our normal process is to basically allow people to opt out of these sorts of situations. We'll do sort of a mass mailing, indicate that, hey, this plan is indicated that your land is, eligible for the zoning district, and we're, going to be pursuing a rezoning free of charge for that. And there was a lot of pushback and some confusion, I think, on the part of many people. And I think ultimately the pushback resulted in folks saying, hey, can we just flip this around and just have the ability to opt in instead? And so after some discussion with the commissioners, we felt that that's fine. There's really, that was not an issue with us as staff, certainly. So, so we essentially did that flip after an ordinance committee presentation, and did another kind of mass mailing, media blast and so forth, and did the opt-in feature. And so we did have a handful of folks coming in, and this legal description of this scattering of sites are those folks that are opting into the AA zone. And so we're welcome to have them. We're glad that these flags are planted. And certainly any of the folks in the, for the future that are in the area that's set aside for select ag that would like to rezone their property in the future, we certainly would welcome those petitions and would encourage them to do that. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Very good, thank you, Ryan. Anyone in the audience wishing to comment on this? Questions or comments from the board? I would just say I know we spent a lot of time with this. I think we came up with a good solution, and I think it's a good plan. Hearing none, we have a yellow ballot for that.
We have a unanimous ballot recommending approval. This will carry on to the commissioners for a final vote.
Very good, thank you, Ryan. Next case, Larry.
I move to hear and vote on Z 2984, Tomish Developers LLC, Shane O'Malley, the Sullivan Planned Development R3W to PDMX.
I second it.
Amanda.
Thank you. Amanda Esposito, APC staff. This property that we're looking at here is in West Lafayette. It's bound by Fowler and Chauncey Avenues and Vine and Wiggins Streets. Right now it is zoned R3W, as is a lot of the surrounding properties. The most recent rezone was directly west of here, across the street, the PDMX that you see there. That was done in 2022 for the 4-up PD. Otherwise, most of the surrounding properties are apartment buildings, including the current site. There are 10 lots within this site, 9 buildings composed of student apartments. Directly north of this site is the New Chauncey neighborhood, and that particular plan calls for high-density residential uses along Fowler Avenue. However, the site in question is within the boundaries of the West Lafayette downtown plan. So, just a little close up there. Little image here of the PD. So this is going to be a 6-story apartment building, maximum of 285 units with 551 bedrooms. There's also an option for retail for over 7,000 square feet on the ground floor on the corner of Vine and Wiggins. The building will have parking below grade in a parking garage up to 178 vehicles. The access point for that garage is going to be a single access point off of Chauncey. So as you can see from the image here, the architecture is somewhat reminiscent of Louis Sullivan's work, with the elements of green terracotta panels on the exterior, along with a combination of limestone and cast stone masonry. Arched windows on the top floor and an arched center entrance help to support the vision of that architecture. In addition to the improved streetscape with plantings and seating, the building also has 2 internal courtyards as well as a rooftop amenity space for residents. I don't know if we have, no, we don't have an image of that. The plan states that this block should be exclusively residential with limited ground floor non-residential on the south half of the block. So petitioner's plan meets this expectation of the adopted land use plan and has staff support. We are happy to support this PD. So we are recommending approval contingent on the standard PD conditions, including an additional one that the current alley that's running east to west through the site has to be vacated before they get FDP approval.
Very good, thank you. Petitioner or the representative, Ryan.
Ryan Munden with RTS Law here on behalf of the petitioner, Tomish Developers LLC. As Amanda mentioned, the project is called the Sullivan, which is a nod to Louis Sullivan. And in keeping with this classic architecture, as you see on this project, unlike a lot of the others that we bring to you, there's no large name sign on the building. That is intentional here. As Amanda mentioned, the project is consistent with the West Lafayette downtown plan. We have notified all tenants in the current structures and advised them that no current leases will be terminated. Project will not commence until current leases have all expired. We appreciate West Lafayette and APC staff's hard work on this unique plan development. We concur with staff's report and recommendation and request your recommendation or approval. Thank you.
Very good, thank you, Ryan. Anyone in the audience wish to comment on this? Or I guess all those in favor of this project? Anyone in favor of this project? Those opposed to the project may come up and speak. Just give us your name and address for the record, and there's a sign-in sheet over in the corner before it right there. But when you get done on the way out, thank you.
Hi, my name is Samantha King. I am the McClure Alumni Association president. McClure Cooperative is located at 128 Wiggins Street, which is directly across from this proposed development. Thank you, first off, for letting me speak today. Sorry, first time, so, you know. A couple of the concerns that we have as a house sitting next to this development, it's been mentioned that there's going to be 285 units on this property and only 170 parking spaces. This area is already devoid of 24/7 parking spaces. It is very minimal. And one of our main concerns with this is that is a severe lack of parking spaces, particularly if you have a commercial business. Where are those employees parking? Where are the people who would be shopping and eating? There's not going to be easy access for the people who already live here, let alone to accommodate a development such as this with that lack of parking. Another concern for us is safety. Traffic safety is a big thing. This picture here, it shows a two-way street that is actually incorrect. Wiggins and Fowler, so both the north and south boundary of those roads are one way. One goes east and one goes west. It is already hard to cross at Chauncey and Wiggins because of all of the traffic coming off of Northwestern. And this is a lot of people who will be added to this area. We are concerned about the safety of our pedestrians, our bikers, and honestly, as a motorized vehicle user who comes into campus, it's hard for me to get across and get out onto Wiggins right there. With this increased traffic, loss of parking spaces, we would just ask the commissioners to kind of work with the developers to increase their parking and what can be done in order to help with safety and traffic in an already busy area. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Samantha. Anyone else wishing to speak, oppose this project? Hearing none. Questions, comments from the board? I'm sorry, thank you. Ryan, do you have a rebuttal on this? Thanks.
With respect to parking counts, our parking ratio exceeds VERV 1, VERV 2, the standard, the approach, all projects that have been approved, and some of them very recently, but all of them recently. So it's consistent with what has been done. With respect to safety, there is an increase in the number of beds. Current beds is approximately 125. Total beds for this project is 551, so it's an increase, but it's not the kind of increase we've seen on some of the other much larger projects. So.
Thank you. Now, questions or comments from the board?
I have one, sir.
Yes, Jason.
Probably more for staff. Interested on a question that's before this board, but probably will go before West Lafayette City Council, is the saturation point for building new projects. We have Chauncey Hill Mall under construction, 2 buildings on the levee. I saw that we have Chauncey Hill Mall Annex as well. We have the approach that I'm familiar with at River and Williams. And we, as landlords, I think, I keep a pretty good pulse on this, that we have vacancies for the first time in years. So a question for staff is, what is the ratio, what's the numbers, and what's the saturation point?
I think Jennifer would like to comment on that, please. Thank you.
Hi, Jennifer Van Sciver with Development. I actually just ran the numbers. In 2023, we conducted a housing study where we found that we had a lack of 3,200 units within the city. As of today, approved projects through City Council has only approved 2,800 of those units. That doesn't account for the increase of produced growth since then, or the SK Hynix project as well. So we're actually still under the threshold of the units that we feel like we need within the city of West Lafayette.
Very good. Thank you for that. Any other questions or comments from the board?
I have one question about traffic with one-way vehicular pattern we have for that particular site. Was there any discussion with the staff or the city staff about the increase in traffic or street parking, if there isn't enough for the residents, and how are rest of the neighbors going to accommodate additional parking that this development is going to bring into the community? Was there any study done?
No study, but again, the parking ratio for this project is consistent with what we've been required to provide for on other projects.
The one comment that I will make for this particular district is that this is very close to the residentially dominant neighborhood. So we probably need to look into that as well when we consider our votes, particularly the council. Most likely will consider that as well.
Thank you. Any other comments? I would say the architecture looks nice, and
I agree with that. And
I was
my
waiting-
compliments to the architect.
I was waiting for you to comment on that, but obviously close to campus, a lot of that will be foot traffic to and from classes, and maybe not as much traffic as people commuting to and from campus. But they did a study on the units needed, and it looks like we're still at that point, that it's not going to be excessive. Any final comments? Hearing none, we have a yellow ballot.
We have a unanimous ballot for recommending approval. This will carry on to Westside Council.
Westside Council on September the 2nd. Very good. Next case, Larry, please.
I move to hear and vote on Z 2987, Lafayette Transitional Housing Center Incorporated, DBA LTHC Homeless Services, Jennifer Layton, McCarty Hope Apartments, Planned Development, I3 to PDRS.
I second it.
Thank you.
All
Amanda.
right, thank you. So we are here in Lafayette for this PD. This is on the south side of McCarty, just kind of behind where the Lafayette Market Square is located, in the middle of this I3 zoning, heavily zoned district. Besides I3, you see a lot of GB in the area, of course. A lot of rezoning activity has happened in this area over the years. Since the 70s, nearly all of the approved rezones for nearby properties have been from I or I3 to GB. You can see the aerial here. Like I said, it's kind of tucked up there behind where the, I think it used to be a Kmart, used to be an old theater next door. And a close-up. So this 3-acre development is part of a 15-plus acre property that is owned by the city. And the PD is going to be a permanent supportive affordable apartment development. It will contain a maximum of 40 units, common areas, and a clubhouse, all intended for individuals experiencing homelessness. There's a bit of a site plan there for you. It is going to be phased into 2 phases. The first phase will build the first building with, it's just a 1-level with 26 one-bedroom units intended for seniors and veterans experiencing homelessness. There will be a clubhouse with a leasing office and on-site support services, a pavilion with picnic tables, and a fenced dog park. Phase 2 will provide between 40 and 54 units, and both facilities are going to be providing laundry facilities for the residents. This project is LTHC's 5th permanently supportive housing facility in Tippecanoe County, which will help address a critical need for Lafayette area residents currently living without a home. Staff supports the request and looks forward to working with them through the FDP stage. So we are recommending approval for this PD with the standard PD conditions. Happy to answer any questions.
Very good. Thank you, Amanda. Petitioner, the representative.
Good evening, I'm Joe Bumbleberg with Ball Eggleston. And on this petition, Jennifer Layton is here with me this evening, as is Tim Ballensiefer from our engineering expertise in this matter. This petition brings us here on a planned development that will end up with permanent supportive housing. Those are words of art in that world. There will also be the common area, a clubhouse, and the clubhouse will be designed to serve the inhabitants. And so the site will have supportive services when it's done, the 26 units. The ingress and egress will go to McCarty Lane on a street that, at least at this point, we have named Hope Lane. I would observe for this one that the very well-written staff report provides you details so that I'm not going to go through and belabor us this evening with all those. I would point out that as a planned development, there was a narrative filed, which also is part of the record here, that guides us on how this development will go about. And I think the size of the staff report here tonight is indicative of how much work must have been done between the staff of the petitioner and the staff of the city on this. So I'm not going to deal with that because I think the record is already very well cleared, and Amanda did that in her staff report. I want to suggest, though, that there is an overriding problem that this unit addresses. This is the kind of housing that is truly needed in Lafayette, and I think that's in agreement with your staff. The problem with homelessness, it breeds other forms of illness and even suicides. There is an element in this that there will be a use for veterans. As an officer of the American Legion, I see some reports, and I'm sad to report to you, and as an indication of the need, suicide rate right now in the United States for veterans is 44 a day. So we're talking about mental health issues, all those kinds of things that this kind of housing will address and maybe help. One of the numbers I saw in 2023 was there were 653,000 homeless people in the process. Now, what I can tell you is it appears that Tippecanoe County and our environs here are doing a pretty good job of trying to address this whole matter. The roots of homelessness are affordable housing. This will address that kind of thing. So what I'm telling you tonight is not only are you addressing a land use issue, an affirmative vote here is a vote to alleviate, at least in a small way, a huge ongoing community problem. So I would respectfully request you approve this petition. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tony Roseworski. I'm the mayor of the city of Lafayette, 20 North 6th Street in Lafayette, Indiana. As you heard, this is land that the city of Lafayette owns. We're very pleased to be partnering with Lafayette Transitional Housing to build this very needed facility, as Joe indicated, and I won't go through all of that again, but we've been talking about this and partnering on this. Obviously, there are lots of hurdles to overcome with this type of thing, and I think this is a wonderful arrangement that's going to serve and help a lot of people in our community and certainly meet an important need. So we would certainly appreciate the board's approval on this rezone. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Mayor. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone opposed? Questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, we have a yellow ballot.
We have a unanimous ballot recommending approval. This will carry on to Lafayette.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Joe and Mayor. Next case.
I move to hear and vote on Z 2992, M&C Development LLC, A to R1.
I second it.
Petitioners with the consent of the property owners are requesting rezoning of 53 acres in the newly annexed part of Dayton for a proposed 109-lot single-family subdivision. As you can see here, this is on the northwest corner of 375 South and Dayton Road. It's currently across the street from the existing subdivision that is currently being finished out. Baker Farms to the east. Petitioners submitted a non-binding conceptual site plan of the site, similar in lot size and design to the Baker Farm subdivision. This is 109 lots shown here. The largest lot size in the R1 requires the largest minimum lot size in the county. It's a 10,000 square feet minimum with 25-foot rear and front setbacks and a 6-foot side setback. For a recommendation on rezoning, staff is looking at the 2023 comp plan from Dayton. As you can see here, they have shown this area of town as a future growth area and a residential use. The plan does not speak on the density of the residential use in that recommendation. So staff can support this based primarily on the recommendation from the recently adopted town plan.
Very good. Thank you, Larry. Petitioner or the representative, Ryan.
Ryan Munnan with RTS Law here on behalf of M&C Development. As staff mentioned, this project sits across Dayton Road from the existing Baker Farm subdivision. Petitioner developed that project, and it has been a resounding success for Dayton. We expect that Baker Farms West will follow suit. Current Baker Farms is 110 lots on 54 acres. Current project would be 109 lots on 53. So we're talking about a very similar project. It'll essentially be the same as what's across Dayton Road. We concur with staff's report and recommendation. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have, and we'd request your recommendation on approval. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of this? Anyone opposed?
My name is Rob Griffith, 6790 East 460 South. So I served with a paper, and I'm all about, increasing the number of housing and construction and all that sort of thing, but living on that road, there's an increased amount of traffic. And so part of this plan, I really feel like it's got to incorporate, what are we going to do with Dayton Road and State Road 38 East? You got 6,800, I think, workers at Subaru Zuzu. They get off at 3:30, they come through there. You've got Dayton School pickup. Baker Farms has increased a lot of traffic. As a matter of fact, the Dayton, when they first developed this, they were trying to figure out the speed limit. They moved from, 40 miles an hour, or you got 50 miles an hour to 40, and then they dropped it to 25. And then they just, now increased it back to 40. And so if you add 109 houses, to that, we're adding that much additional traffic. And I do have a huge level of safety concern, about what we're going to do to plan for that. And I remember several years ago when there was all the opposition to the first Baker's Farm that was there, and then there's been some additional plans of talking about, continuing to want to, increase or change some of the zoning on some of those other lots that are there. And so, part of this expansion of this subdivision, I don't know that you can actually approve it to figure out until you actually are going to address, how you're going to handle the traffic flow that's on this road. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Anyone else wishing to oppose this petition? Questions or comments from the board? I'm sorry. Thank you. Mr. Rebuttal, thank you.
That's a fair concern regarding traffic. This project it flows in three phases. The first is the annexation, which we started in February and was approved in May, and we appreciate Dayton Town Council's support of the project thus far. Current stage is the rezone. Following this, we would go through the subdivision process, which would potentially include a traffic study, and at that point, we would work with Dayton to determine what improvements, if any, would be required to the roadways to address those kinds of concerns. So that is a part of the process, but that's the next step.
Thank you. Now, questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, we have a yellow ballot.
We have a unanimous ballot recommending approval. This will carry on to the Dayton Town Board.
Thank you, Ryan. Any administrative matters? Thank you. Approval of the September Executive Committee agenda.
I move that the following request for subdivision be placed on the September 3rd, 2025 Area Plan Commission Executive Committee agenda at the petitioner's request, placement thereon being without reference to compliance or noncompliance with the adopted subdivision ordinance. S5290 Whitney Property Subdivision, a replat of Lot 114 in Perrin's Addition, minor sketch, and S5292 Hall Estates Minor Subdivision, minor sketch.
I second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Determination of variances.
I move that the following requests for variance from the Unified Zoning Ordinance are not requests for use variance prohibited from consideration by ordinance and statute. BZA 2205, a company LLC, and BZA 2209, Jason T. Myers.
I second it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Director's report, Ryan. Any questions for Ryan on the director's report? Do we need to prove that, or we just? I don't think we do. It's not on there. Okay, we saw it. Thank you. Citizens' comments and grievances. Hearing none, Larry, I'll take the final motion.
I move to adjourn.
We're adjourned.